Dr. Veronica Esagui is your host for Authors Forum.
Now, Miss Coniferous loves dogs, especially Nye-Beach dogs, but Tokay has already been busted twice this month for wearing a red kerchief around his neck instead of a collar with a license tag, so her hand is forced. Stoney, the sweeper, comes running into the sandbar yelling, "Hey, you guys, Miss Connie just busted our candidate." Balzac tells himself if he's in jail, he can't be here campaigning. But when they count the ballots that night, it's Tokay by a landslide, the martyr vote. Balzac is taking it bad, but not because he lost. By midnight, he has forgotten he was even in the race. No, it's his sense of duty eating at him. Here he is. Here the duly elected mayor of Nye-Beach is sitting in jail in the animal shelter, and the ship of state is rudderless. Should Balzac assume duties of pro tem, or should he rescue the leader? 4 a.m. Two silhouettes are seen breaking a window of the animal shelter, crawling in and releasing all the dogs from their cages. They are looking for Tokay. Well, the way the story read in the Oregonian the next day, it could have been better planned.
And there you were, correspondent for the Oregonian, and big letters, 2 arrested in stolen dog food caper. I love that.
And if you can see here, this is cartoons are illustrating the men finding the dog and going out the window and ripping the dog food bag, which actually did occur that way, and stealing off in the night and while the crumbs from the dog food bag left the trail. This is the two fellows hightailing it out of the area.
Why did you pick Newport's aging Gilmore Hotel as your book setting?
Well, I actually, because I had been living there for actually only a few months before I realized that this was material.
Material, yeah.
and because I was first interested in creating a newspaper for the hotel, because everybody in there was artists of one kind or another.
Oh, really?
That was the real attraction, and the character of the place was that they were people who were already artists and living the lifestyle of the counterculture, and so the low rents there, and by low rents I mean I had a room for $60 a month.
Wow, you can't beat that.
No, you can't beat that, yeah. It was hard to leave. And so I founded the newspaper that you have there, the Gilmore Gazette, and for the front page was always my cartoon, because what I wanted it to look like was a Sunday comic section of like the Oregonian or something like that. So then inside there are other poets and other artists and song lyrics and everything like that. And so we had a voice there during that period.
What is the real lowdown on the Gilmore Hotel in its seedy heyday?
Well, a lot less seedy than I try to give the impression, simply because it makes for better comedy as well as drama. But it was a tribal gathering day after day. For me, it was an impressive experience. I was actually a generation older than most of these people, like I have been for that whole 60s youth. And it involved a communal kitchen and always music and dancing and singing. And from that group, there were a lot of musicians too. So it was its own tribe. That's why I found it worth memorializing.
It sounded like a perfect place to stay.
Well, it was for the time, yeah.
I understand you write with your right hand and you draw with your left hand. So can you demonstrate how you do that?
Right, and I found it enormously convenient in drawing a comic strip, because in a comic strip there is the drawing and then there is the lettering. And I draw with my left hand, and then I letter with my right hand, and it somehow it seems more efficient.
That is so cool that you can do that. Okay, Ed Cameron, writing with both hands at the same time.
But this is sort of a trick in that.
You can catch on that. All right. Ooh, my name. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Would you also give us an example of a cartoon?
Sure.
How would you start a cartoon?
And this is Patch here. And Patch is awakened one night to the sounds of a tattoo artist who lives next door. So he goes in and complains to him and says, "Take it down to the beach, boys." And one of them, the tattoo artist, says, "I don't have an extension cord, Patch. I couldn't do that." And so Patch says, "Here, take this."
Telco.
The battery. He's asking.
Thank you for that. So I understand that you've done illustrations for other books besides yourself, for other authors. Can you mention one or two of them?
Yes. I have a good friend, Vicki Norton, has a book that she had created for her grandchildren, and then for the children's market too. And it was a story of her little Volkswagen, and how and she would drive to work over the Coast Range to Corvallis to a state job there, and every day she found herself, not every day, but there was big trucks that were always crowding her on the road, and so she created a character of a very mean truck chasing her little truck.
So what, okay, I could say who comes first, the chicken or the egg? So it would be kind of like, so does the story come to you first, or does the cartooning comes first?
No,
or do they,
usually it's the story.
the story comes first.
Right, and I have an example of how I quickly sketch the story. And this is an example of an idea that as I'm creating the story, I am sketching it alongside. So that the sequence to creating a story is just a quick series of language that I'm dreaming up the story at the time with some quick drawings. And second page of the same thing, getting the language down, getting the graphics as much as I can, and then going to work on the individual cartoons. And this is now developed like that. And after drawing them at that size, I reduce those on Xerox and then paste them up again. And this is the finished
So
work
all of
here.
them become, all those big ones, they become the format that we are used to seeing.
That's right.
Exactly. So it goes from the big one to...
And that's the size that it was printed in a magazine, out of Waldport. This is another way that I, another example of using the tablet for the original artwork and then Xeroxing from there.
Do you have any plans for future publications?
I have several plans, and one of them is to pursue these same characters, but I think I'm going to bring them into modern times. They'll be 20 years older, all of them, although Columbine, I know, never ages, so I like most. And become more contemporary with the news of the times.
Do you have any advice to people that are starting in careers like the one you have as a cartoonist?
I'd say the first thing is don't look at it as a career, but look at it as an art form, and develop your art form as any artist must. And I'd recommend it simply keep doing it. It's like what any artist, whether a musician, whether a dancer, it's just the love of the craft is what's going to get you through life if the art form attracts you. And beyond that, you'll find the opportunities to find publication, find that it's maybe a way of life for you too. Then is when you start looking seriously at marketing. And I'd say I'm an example of that in that I had finally put the book together, and then it was time to learn how to market.
Right,
and that's,
which is
keeping me
something
busy.
something that happens to everybody. Ed, tell us about your special event on your 80th birthday with the publication of your book.
That's correct. It was at the Cafe Mundo in Newport, which is a big gathering place for what I'd call this same generation now in their maturity, plus their own children. We have a second wave of this same Nye Beach crowd, and so a good number were there, and I sang the song from the book about the Ballad of Nye Beach with other accompanists, and we also did some theater sketches about the Gilmore Hotel characters there. And it was the best 80th birthday I expect I'll ever have.
I am sure. It sounds like it was a blast.
It certainly was.
That's awesome. How do you feel about your publishing company that you're working with?
Well, that's Dancing Moon Press.
Dancing Moon Press.
I'm very happy with the kind of production quality that and the editing
and the editing too
went into it, and really pleased with that.
And the book cover also?
And actually I worked with a professional artist, Dan Mandich, and the artwork itself is my own drawing and coloring with the three cartoon characters along the side, and then Dan took that and developed the background for it and all the type style.
So that's a good publishing company.
Absolutely.
When you think about it, because they're letting you pick the book cover and you can put input into it.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So tell us again the name of the company?
Dancing Moon Press.
I like that. Dancing Moon Press.
Newport.
It's wonderful. It makes a perfect gift for any time. Is there a website that people can read more about your work and see more of your work?
Actually, I have a website that's called gilmorebythesea.com.
Gilmorebythesea.com.
Right, and books can be ordered from that, and also from me, Ed Cameron,
Ed Cameron.
at hotmail.com.
Okay. Thank you, Ed, for being our guest at Authors Forum. And until the next Authors Forum, have a most inspiring week. Thank you.